Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to yet another car review. Welcome to Cars with Shami. If this is your first time here, welcome to the home of all things car reviews, all things car launches, and all things motoring, really. So keep it locked. This week, I am reviewing the all-new VW Tiguan. So this is obviously one of VW's most successful SUVs. We love the VW Tiguan in South Africa, and of course, this being the new model, it does have a lot of, it has a big shoe to fill. So let's get into it. So the VW Tiguan launched just a few months ago, and I think from a styling perspective, it certainly has adopted VW's current design language, which we have seen now across some of the newer VW products. How I feel about the styling, I'm not too certain. This model that I'm driving, this is the entry-level Life model, and it's certainly not helping its case because, yeah, it obviously doesn't look, too amazing, if I can put it that way, and that's solely down to the fact that it doesn't have the R-line body kit. The R-line body kit on this car looks absolutely stunning. It looks amazing. You obviously get on that model much sportier bumpers, much sportier wheels. It just looks a lot more sportier and aggressive. And I think for me, for people looking to buy a Tiguan, I think one of the first things that you need to do straight off the bat is to just go for the R-Line kit. So this, as I mentioned, is the Life model. Obviously, you get a very simple and basic exterior. The alloy wheels, these are 18-inch alloy wheels. They look okay, but again, coming back to how the R-Line looks, I mean, that car looks phenomenal. So for me, first things first, just go right ahead and get the R-Line kit. But we're reviewing the Life model, so this model starts at 700,000 Rand, and obviously what you see here is what you're getting. The car itself does look nice. It is a nice looking car. You do get the LED headlamps up front. These aren't the Matrix, IQ Matrix headlights. These are the normal LEDs. So they've got the auto bright function that works nicely at night. The IQ headlights, however, are amazing on VWs. They are so sublime. They do a wonderful job at night of lighting up the road and not dazzling other drivers on the road as well. So that is quite cool. You also get a solid light bar which runs across the front, which also looks quite cool. That is something that we're seeing now on a lot of the newer VW models, so that's quite cool. At the rear, the car looks also just as good as it does at the front. You get IQ tail lamps, funny enough, and not headlights. So the LED tail lamps look really, really good. Obviously, again, a solid light bar over there, so that is quite nice. So yeah, from a styling perspective, this car does look smart, but I think it could look a lot better in the R-Line kit. Moving over inside, you get a really, really, really nice interior. I mean, it's really, really nice. So you're greeted by a multifunctional steering wheel with, get this, actual physical buttons. And I know this is something that as motoring reviewers we complain about a lot. And I think once you do sort of use the touch capacitive buttons, you kind of see why. I mean, I just have a really deep appreciation for physical buttons because when you click or press, you know exactly what you're doing. With the touch capacitive buttons, as much as you can get used to them, you sometimes do feel like they can be a bit of a faff. So physical buttons, I will take those any day. Behind the steering wheel, you get a digital instrument cluster, very customizable. You can set up the instrument cluster however way you want. You can have dials, you can have various different vehicle and driver information, which is quite cool. And then to the left, you get this really large infotainment system, touchscreen of course, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. It works so beautifully. It is bright, it is crisp, it is so quick to touch inputs. I mean, geez, like even just hooking it up to Apple CarPlay and just controlling the various different functions that you can is just a charm. Very bright screen, which I absolutely love. So I really do like the infotainment system. your climate control functions are embedded into the system, but you do get some shortcut buttons below the screen, so you can increase and decrease the temperature on the fly. And then there is a volume slider, touch capacitive, which you can also control the volume from there. The infotainment system does obviously house a lot of the vehicle functions, which I guess is something that you find in a lot of modern cars these days. How I feel about that, if I'm honest, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I do like shortcut buttons. I do like actual physical buttons, but VW has done a good job at integrating this system with all of those functions, so it is quite easy to navigate. At the top of the screen, you do have shortcut buttons, but again, it can be a bit distracting if you're not too used to the system, so that's just something to keep in mind. The cabin itself is quite spacious. You've got a really nice use of quality materials all around, on the doors, and just around the cabin itself. You've got two USB-C ports up front and this really cool bin where you can put your phone on top of. So there's a nice use of space in this cabin, which I really quite like. You get this button in the center console, which is your volume button, a physical volume button, but get this, it doubles up as a drive mode selector, which is quite cool and interesting that they've actually thought of that. I'm really a big fan of it because you can do that while you're driving quite seamlessly, so that is really quite cool. The cup holders in the car are below the armrest in the center, which for me kind of defeats the purpose, because here in front of the center console you've got like an open bin, which is just open. You can't put cups in there. If you do, the cups are just going to fall over. So for me, that is a bit weird as to why the cup holders wouldn't be there. Yeah, I just found that to be quite weird. So another plus for me is the door cards do house large bottles, and when I say large, I mean large. I've been using my my Stanley dupe that I got from work and it fits quite nicely, and it's not a very small cup, it's a very big cup that doesn't really fit in a lot of cars, so that is quite nice that it does fit in the door cards. They are lined, so that's quite nice, so things won't rattle about or make too much of a noise, so that's quite cool. The seats, oh my goodness, I need to talk about the seats. These seats are so comfortable. They are extremely comfortable. Like, words cannot explain how comfortable these seats are. They have massaging functionality. They are heated. The massage function for the driver and the passenger works so nicely. I mean, I've used it a few times and oh my goodness, it is a charm. I'm not sure if it's an optional extra or not, but whatever it is, it's a definite must-have for certain. And overall, space-wise, obviously in the back seats is quite impressive. It is a Tiguan, so it is quite big. It's not a large SUV, it's like a mid-sized SUV, but it is quite spacious. The boot space is also quite decent. I mean, you can fit more than enough luggage for your family or a weekend trip away. And it's got a floor underneath, which obviously houses then your spare wheel. Unfortunately, it is a space saver spare wheel, but at least you do have a spare wheel, so that's quite nice. So up front, under the bonnet, you get a 1.4 liter turbo petrol engine. This is the same engine that you get across the VW Group product line. The Audi Q3 that I drove over December, you can check the review on my channel, which is already live. That car uses the same engine, but for some reason in this Tiguan, the application feels so much better. So in this car, it feels very, very, very responsive. It does not feel like the same 1.4 engine that produces 110 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque. It could be down to the tuning, I don't know, but it certainly doesn't feel like what they quote. It feels a lot more powerful, which is quite nice. And going into reviewing this car, I was a bit skeptical that engine is here, but you know what? I quickly swallowed my words because it definitely feels responsive. Overtaking is not a hassle whatsoever. It's quite like responsive, so that's quite nice. The gearbox is buttery smooth, and when I say buttery smooth, I mean buttery smooth. It is yeah, you barely feel the gear shifts, which is also quite nice. So overall, this is a really comfortable car. It soaks up the road imperfections quite well. And coming back to what I mentioned earlier with the alloy wheels, they may not look the best, but they certainly do offer a lot of comfort because they've got obviously a thick tire wall. These are 18-inch alloys, so they really do offer some great comfort, opposed to perhaps the R-Line, which has bigger wheels, you know, sort of lower profile wheels, which would not maybe offer the same comfort level. So that is something to take into consideration. So from a price perspective, I did mention earlier that this car comes in at 700,000 Rand. It comes in at 702,000 Rand to be exact. And I think you're getting a lot of value for that money. I mean, the Tiguan is a really refined product. It's a product that we've loved, especially in South Africa, for the longest time. And obviously, a lot may argue that, well, if you're looking for a Chinese car, if you're looking at the Chinese offerings, you're getting, you know, maybe a slightly bigger car with a lot more features. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that VW makes really premium and refined cars. It is a premium and refined car. And not to say that the other cars that are Chinese and whatever are not premium or refined, but there's an added level of refinement that you certainly do feel. And that comes across in the technology, in the safety features, that it just sets itself apart, like plain and simple. And I think one really needs to experience both sides of the scale in order to really understand this. But for me personally, I've driven quite a number of Chinese cars and a lot of German cars, and you can certainly tell the difference in refinement. So for 700,000 Rand, of course it is an entry-level car, but you're getting a lot for that price. You're getting a lot for that price, and I really think that this product is really, really one to consider for people looking to buy a really nice family car. From a month-to-month perspective, this is how much you can expect to pay on this VW Tiguan for this Life model, and this is how much you can expect to pay in terms of insurance if you cover your car through Naked. The nice thing about Naked is you really don't have to hassle around on the phone with a call agent after you've gotten a quote. The process is extremely simple. All you got to do is go onto the website or the app, input all of your details, and you get a quote as simple as that in under 90 seconds. I'll challenge you guys to get a quote for your current car through Naked and share with me in the comments how much you were quoted. I'm keen to know. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories from other people who have gotten a quote through Naked and actually saved quite a bit of money by getting a quote through Naked, and they've actually changed insurers. So that is the nice thing. Quote down in my bio below for a quick and hassle-free quote. So that brings us to the end of my time with the VW Tiguan. It's been a really, really, really pleasant drive. Very, very little to complain about in this VW Tiguan. Very, 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 very decent car. I really, really like the Tiguan. As I mentioned, I would say go for the R-Line instead if you really want the car that will look the best. But yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this new Tiguan. Do you like it? Do you feel like the old model, the previous generation, was better looking? I know a lot of people argue that the outgoing model was much nicer. And you know what? I'm in two minds. You know, I really like this new car, but that old previous gen, oh, it was such a looker. It was such a looker. It was, look, hey, South Africans love themselves a Tiguan. But of course, I'm keen to hear what you guys think. So let me know in the comments. But that's it from me, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what car you'd like me to review next. And I will do that. So catch you guys soon. Keep it locked and peace.